Welcome to another video, and we're just 5 days out from PoE2's early access launch. We're keeping the daily uploads alive today with a short video about something that just isn't really a thing in PoE1, and that's Thorns. Thorns is a classic RPG mechanic that allows characters to reflect damage to enemies that are attacking them. But historically, Thorns, or damage reflection, hasn't really been handled all too well in the majority of RPGs. The issue therein is that a mechanic which rewards a player for being hit by dealing damage to monsters without any active interaction from the player can't be too strong compared to other options. And so what happens usually is that those mechanics aren't strong enough, and as a result they don't feel worthwhile to invest into. When the opposite is true and they're stronger than active playstyles, they naturally become a go-to build, is the path of least resistance. But in PoE1, the issue with Thorns, or damage reflection, is that the game simply is not designed for such a system to work well. An average character cannot afford to stand still and just let monsters hit them. If they do, they'll usually end up dying very quickly. Sure, you can heavily invest into defenses if you wish to, and these days we certainly have the options available to do just that. But even then, the reflect modifiers that you can use simply aren't that good. And worse still, most of them exist on mediocre unique items. But it looks like PoE2 is going to attempt to make damage reflection a mechanic that you can invest into to make use of in your build, and not just by using specialised unique items, because there are actually reflect modifiers on the passive skill tree in the strength area of the tree, where the warrior starts. Vengeance is found in the middle between the strength and strength dexterity areas of the tree, and has the stat 60% of damage taken reflected to melee attackers. Meanwhile, Retaliation is on the outer edge of the tree and has the same stat, only with a bit higher of a percentage of reflected damage. Now, there's a couple of things to notice here. Firstly, this is percentage-based damage, not flat damage like most of the modifiers that exist in PoE1, which means that it will scale naturally no matter what level of content you're doing. Secondly, the wording of the modifier itself. A percentage of damage taken reflected to melee attackers. This modifier may do one of two things. Scenario A, which I think is the most likely, is that incoming melee hits from monsters will reflect a percentage of damage taken from those hits back to those monsters. Scenario B is that a percentage of all of the damage that you take from all sources is reflected around you in melee range, which I think is much less likely. Regardless, it's interesting to see that such a stat is appearing on the passive skill tree, and makes you wonder if more support will be available for a Thorns type setup, perhaps on future ascendancies or on unique items. We also know that PoE2 is limiting the amount of recovery a character may be able to achieve compared to PoE1, and by doing this they can design dangerous monsters without the need for them to be able to one-shot characters. Whether that will actually end up being the case is anyone's guess, but the idea is that taking a big hit should leave you in a vulnerable position for a short time thereafter, as you're not able to immediately recover to full like you can in PoE1. Having this type of approach as a baseline concept may open the way for builds using mechanics such as damage reflection, as they can then choose to invest heavily into defense and recovery mechanics if they wish to. What do you think of the idea of Thorns in PoE2? Let me know by commenting below. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, stay tuned and stay safe.